What's up, my triple loving YouTube friends? Got a couple projects in the ER shop at the cabin. A couple people commented on my last video about the ER shop at the cabin. I love it. It's nice and white and bright in here. It's so easy to see and what we're trying to do. But yeah, I got Freebie in here, and we got Cheapo in here. Cheapo's getting a new cylinder, and I'm gonna put some mirrors on Freebie. So once I complete that, we're gonna pull Freebie out of the way, and I'm gonna slide Cheapo out in the center of the floor and get that cylinder on. So let's get the mirrors on this one first so we can pull it out, and then we'll get going on Cheapo. I know, you're all screaming, don't put mirrors on the hood. Well, I'm sorry, but this sled needs mirrors. I love having mirrors. If you're squeamish, I'd close your eyes at this part. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear people screaming. Well, this hood it's a decent hood, but it's got some cracks and it's got some road rash and stuff on it. If this was a mint hood, I would not be doing this, but it's not a mint hood. So, it doesn't hurt me one bit to do what I'm doing. This was just a set of used mirrors that I actually pulled off of one of the sleds that we parted out. Mirrors were still in decent shape. I'm like, what the heck? I'll reuse them. We go on family rides. The wife and I ride on this sled here. And I usually got Bree or Megan following me. That's why I like mirrors. I cannot stand to have to keep looking back to make sure they're okay and with us. So, set of mirrors on this sled is very ideal. And yeah, that way you just gotta glance down and you're looking for a headlight then instead. So there we go. I think that's pretty much a wrap on the mirror project. Get Freebie pulled out, and we'll get Cheapo pulled in the center of the floor and get that one ready to work on. Well, first we gotta get rid of the carnage here. I don't have the tools. I forgot to bring my favorite little pick and my favorite little needle nose for doing this operation, so I'm just gonna have to deal with what I have. So hopefully what I have is gonna work. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Yes. Victory. Got it. Carnage. Yep, it seems like the top ring left the chat. Yep, I'm guessing that went right out the exhaust. Yeah, carnage. We might have not have had the jetting correct on this one. Yeah, I don't know. We ran it for 2 years though. That's the thing, and we jetted it when it was really cold out, and that's where the jetting wanted to be. Otherwise, it was just a turd. And all of a sudden, that's not where it wants to be. So yeah, we're gonna go up one jet size. So we're 380, 380, 390. We're going to be 390 straight across because this cylinder seems to be loving that 390. So yeah, I would not have expected to have to jet up after we jetted it. And it was, I think that day when we jetted it was 5 below out. But we did run it in a day when it was 45 or 50 degrees out, and it was running really good that day too, wide open. So yeah, she was probably running too lean then for it to run that good on a 50-degree day. So that should have sent some alarms off for me. Oh, and always the most nerve-wracking part of the job is sliding the pin in and getting the clip back in. Put a little bit of oil on there. Arrow towards the flywheel, pins towards the intake. Always very easy to figure out if you're putting it on the right way then. The pins towards the intake is the key. Definitely the key. Put the pins, or the locating pins for your rings, if you put those towards the exhaust side, you're gonna have issues. Definitely gonna have issues. Crankcase full of rags. That's always a good thing. Don't want that circlip to end up down in the crankcase. If it does, stop. Pull the crankcase apart. Unless you can see it down there and get it with a magnet, do not continue with that clip in the crankcase. I have found them in there from other engines I have bought in a sled, and they had running issues in there. For sure enough, there's a circlip down in the crankcase playing hell with everything. And there was 2 circlips in every single piston, so that means when somebody put it together, they lost one down there and just went over to the parts bin and grabbed another one and continued on. So I always want to make sure that sets in to the clip groove. A lot of times you hear a snap. That's what you want to hear. That means it's set in there. I already verified ring end gap. That is something. I already checked that. I checked that at home because I didn't want to have to bring the feeler gauges with too. No Trenton today yet. He was going to be here right away this morning. He had some truck issues. So he had to turn around, go home, fix his truck issues. So now he's on his way up. I was kind of holding out. See how much quicker that goes with an Ultra base engine versus the 650 engines with the studs? I mean, 2 seconds I had that on there. It's so much easier. Oh, I love these engines. They're way easier to work on. And I think the XC twin base engines are similar, because I had one many years ago. I had an XC 700 with the non exhaust valves on it. It was a ripper. That thing hauled the mail. That is for sure. Alright, guys' favorite part, my unique way to torque them. Yeah, that feels torqued. Yeah, some people hit it with a soft blow hammer. Some people use a crow's foot, use a torque wrench. Some people do this. That's the way I've always done it. Yet to have a base gasket leak. I have yet. It is 26 foot-pounds of torque if you feel like doing it the right way. The way I do it. O-ring is in now. I did not have it in the whole time while I was working on the cylinder. I didn't want to bump it and have it pop out. So the O-ring is in. In case y'all paying attention. I'm nervous I didn't put the O-ring in. I did definitely put the O-ring in. All right, we'll run these right down to 18 foot-pounds. Same, 18 foot-pounds. Oh, I'll do a little gasket cleanup here. My favorite gasket remover. And while I have the pipes off, I'm going to check the oil in the water pump. This is a 96 case, so it runs the oil in the water pump to lubricate the gear. And then 97, they switch it to where the oil injection lubricates the gear. So while the pipes are out of the way, it'll be a good time to check the oil level in that water pump. Well, I verified that there is oil in the water pump still, so that was good. Just loosening up the bleeder on the top of the engine here and start pouring the antifreeze back into it, and that way the air can escape out the top of that vent. With that vacuum pump, we caught just about all the antifreeze. I only have a couple drips down here, not much at all. So you can do the same thing with a shop vac. It works also. You hear that air coming out of that air bleed. After I get this running, I don't expect to have to put much more antifreeze in it once it's running. So here's a little trick I like to do on these Ultra air boxes. I cut those little dimples off on the bottom of the airbox. They go into some little brackets on the bottom or on the top of the bulkhead right there. I don't know. It makes it a complete fight fest to try and get these things in with those little knobbies. So I have found cutting them off makes life a lot easier to get the airbox in and out. Less cussing, less frustrations. And yeah, that's just how I've been doing it. And I have not had any kind of an issue with not having them pegs on the bottom. Because otherwise it makes putting this thing in so miserable. It definitely does not go like that, I can tell you that. Well, 10 minutes later, I got the airbox on, I got the pipes on, and I got a Yankee here. So Trenton just did the old huff and puff in the tank. Yeah, hopefully this isn't under a 20 pull to get it running. So we didn't juice up the cylinders we normally would, but we don't have our little squirt bottle, so we're just gonna make do with what we got, and I think Trenton's just gonna start pulling, and hopefully it fires. Why don't you take it down the driveway and back, and we get a little heat in the engine, and we can check the antifreeze then. Well, that's a good feeling to have that up and running again, huh, Trenton? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. Well, I think that's going to conclude the cylinder replacement on Cheapo here. If you like the videos, please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to help at all, consider hitting the thanks button and donating something to the builds. Any little bit helps. Keeps the sleds running, keeps me and Trenton doing what we like to do, showing you guys what we're doing. So yeah, we're going to take Cheapo for a trail ride yet today and get a couple miles on it. But yeah, that's nice to finally get this, not finally, but it's nice to have it up and running again and not having it sit there down. So thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one. Need any antifreeze, Trenton? Uh-huh. Yeah, she sucked her down.